let me ask y'all. Do your mama know you out here talking about her like that, calling her relationship and her parenting decisions a goddamn curse when she took her ass to work every fucking day to make sure you had some shit to eat? Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Cecily, also known as Bad Fat Black Girl. I'm a writer, I'm an entertainment journalist, I'm a trap feminist, and I think that y'all obsession with generational curses is kind of problematic. So in 2018, when Beyoncé did the cover of the September issue of Vogue, she wrote these little blurbs about herself to go along with the pictures that were taken. Beyoncé basically told them folks, y'all just get me a black photographer and I'll handle the rest. Don't ask me no questions and don't call me. I'll call you. I'll tell you what we have and when you guys can go to print. What an iconic moment in Beehive history. Wow. I stand an icon. Anyway, she wrote this very specific blurb on her ancestry, and I'm going to read it verbatim from my computer so I don't get it wrong. She said, I come from a lineage of broken male-female relationships, abuse of power, and mistrust. Only when I saw that clearly was I able to resolve those conflicts in my own relationship. Connecting to the past and knowing our history makes us both bruised and beautiful. I researched my ancestry recently and learned that I come from a slave owner who fell in love with and married a slave. I had to process that revelation over time. I questioned what it meant and tried to put it into perspective. I now believe it's why God blessed me with my twins. Male and female energy was able to coexist and grow in my blood for the first time. I pray that I am able to break the generational curses in my family and that my children will have less complicated lives. So for those of you who don't know about B's family situation, by the point where she said this, her parents had already been divorced for years. Matthew cheated on Miss Tina and had a baby by somebody else. We also knew that Jay had cheated on B. Basically, the niggas ain't been shit for generations in Beyonce's family, right? So Beyonce drops this, this big Vogue tell-all kind of, as much as you want to call it that. But generational curses became like this buzzword that everybody was on. It's like when celebrities learned about the word cancel culture, or when like the Shade Room audience learned about the word toxic, and they just, y'all have just been wearing it into the ground. Also, a video about celebrities learning about the word cancel culture and using it to avoid accountability is coming. Don't even trip. But the point is that some of y'all got generational curses a little fucked up. Now, before I drag y'all, make sure y'all subscribe to my channel. Make sure you turn your notifications on so you don't miss any updates. And actually, it is important to get updates because I think there's going to be a part 2 of this video. And give this video a thumbs up. Let me start by saying words mean things. And here's why I don't like the idea of some kind of generational curse specifically, which implies a supernatural element that is beyond like human intervention. If you look at the history of imperialism, one of the justifications for colonization and the enslavement of black folks was that we were barbaric, our religions were satanic, and that we were inherently in a kind of immoral people who needed help and needed intervention. In other words, we were cursed. And while that kind of spiritual language has evolved over time, that fundamental ideology that we are just inherently fucked up as a people persists and is still used to justify a lot of shit. Kind of like the Moynihan Report, or the fact that black communities are over-policed. But really, as we know, a lot of the problems that face black folks are systemic. The curse is white supremacy, bitch. What we're calling a curse is misogyny, misogynoir, and trans-misogynoir. What we're calling a curse is homophobia. And definitely heteronormativity. And honestly, I first started to side-eye this overuse of generational curse when I realized that a lot of the energy around it was specifically being directed towards gender roles and relationships in a very like heteronormative capacity, if you will. And some of it was about poverty. But again, what y'all are calling a curse is actually capitalism. And it was never meant to work for our black asses. But I'm gonna be honest, most of what I heard sounded like this. All the women in my family were single mothers or were unmarried when they had children. I'm gonna break that generational curse. I've seen so many women in my family in toxic relationships. That's a generational curse that I am insisting on breaking. I'm not about to be out here struggling to raise my kids like my mama did me. I'm breaking that generational curse. Let me ask y'all. Do your mama know you out here talking about her like that, calling her relationship and her parenting decisions a goddamn curse when she took her ass to work every fucking day to make sure you had some shit to eat? Or when she was dealing with her own demons or addiction or whatever it was? Do your mama know that? Cause I call sis.
Shut up. I'ma call your mom. I'ma tell your mom. You so bad.
If we being honest, for a lot of y'all, breaking generational curses is a new woke word to align yourselves with respectability politics. It's giving me aspiring blackity black. Y'all are basically mad that you do not have an upper middle class, heterosexual, nuclear family that protected you from any kind of trauma or discomfort while you were growing up. That's essentially what y'all mean. And that is problematic, y'all. First of all, no one is exempt from trauma. And context is so important in terms of what values, beliefs, characteristics, and behaviors get passed down to us from generation to generation. Let's use a pot of greens, for example. You can make your greens with smoked turkey in them, right? But as you've gotten into the world, you seeing more and more people who might make greens with bacon in it, okay? Or bacon fat. Your granny's mama could have just been dating a nigga who didn't want to eat no pork. She could have been fucking around with a Muslim on the side, and the nigga didn't want to eat no swine, so she decided to start making his greens and the greens for her family, so she didn't have to make 2 pots with smoked turkey instead of with bacon or some other type of red meat. That got passed down to her kid, that got passed down to her kid, and then that shit got passed down to you. So now when you even get greens that got bacon in it, you probably feeling a type of way about it. Shit just don't feel right, don't sit right, because that's how you was taught to do your shit with the smoked turkey necks. You thinking it's some deep tradition or some inherent flaw in how you learn how to make your greens versus how somebody else learned how to make their greens, or vice versa. When really it's just that your granny was fucking, your great granny was fucking with a nigga who didn't want to eat no pork. Context is so important. But that process of passing information down from generation to generation, that's just a natural part of like evolution. That's how it works. Things get passed down based on our family and based on who we're around. And also, y'all gonna hate this one. Also, some shit is just genetics that y'all be calling a curse. Some shit just running families and ain't no way around it. And that's my biggest thing with this idea of like a curse, a generational curse. It's like calling it some type of supernatural curse implies that it takes some type of supernatural miracle to fix it. And I think that's why people are really enticed by this idea of a generational curse, because it's this thing that was created outside of you that, you know, you just have to figure out how to like kind of, it's like a pothole that was just placed in front of you that you just, if you can just figure out how to swerve around it, you'll be good and you won't fuck your car up like every other person in your family did. But actually, collective trauma is all of ours. That's why it's collective. And it's some shit that we just cannot help. We cannot help if addiction or certain mental health issues just run in our family. That's just how the shit works. Or breast cancer runs in our family, or other types of hereditary diseases. All we can do is know that history and do the best to take care of ourselves with the knowledge. But we also cannot do that if we're not even willing to have the conversations with the rest of our family. Have you asked your mom how she feels about being a single mom or being unmarried? Have you tried to have a deeper understanding of what that was like for her? Maybe how she feels about it in her own life and what decisions she made? Her not choosing to be with your daddy could have been a decision that saved her life. But most importantly, have you questioned your own obsession with this nuclear family model that was given to us by white folks? Like, can we please just discuss that? Like, so much of this generational curse conversation has to do with us not having access to these very Western normative ideas of family and capital. And until we are willing to question that shit, like, please chill on the generational curse shit. Maybe try to see the blessing and the beauty in having grandmas and aunties and uncles that got to play a part in raising you. Like, that's some shit that is so unique to Black folks in terms of how we build and blend our families up and create communities of resources for each other. And like, y'all really out here calling that shit a curse? Like, I wish folks would stop focusing on like two parents, instead maybe just focus on good parents. And parents are not always your mother and your father. We have this obsession with what the model should look like, and we do not talk enough about the healthy habits. I never hear people talk about the work that it takes to break a generational curse. I also think my issue with generational curses is that when people talk about breaking them, it's very individual, and they talk about breaking it for themselves and for their future generations, and it's never any kinds of backwards works. Like, they're never trying to have any of those conversations that I just mentioned with their family who was older than them or who have come before them, and they think that just like getting married first and having a baby is going to suddenly change their lives in a way that it is just not. Because like, in what ways are you healing from the trauma that you experienced to make sure that that relationship is even healthy, to make sure that marriage is healthy, that it has a foundation to stand on? If you don't think you've ever had a model for that, why the fuck you think you so capable at making it excellent? What healing are you doing? What therapy have you set your ass in? What group therapy have you set in with the same people who caused you harm or who you think have caused you harm? And to be clear, I think Beyoncé gets it. I don't think that Beyoncé was steering us wrong when she suggested that looking at our past can create a blueprint or roadmap to figure out the areas that we might need to work on in our current lives and in the future we want to build for ourselves. I don't think she was off base with that. But I think in the way she talked about it, I think she was being a little poetic. Beyoncé is an artist, and she's a Virgo. The bitch got a flair for the dramatic, okay? Y'all know my good sis is she couldn't just say go to therapy. She had to make it sound a little, But guess what? Her and Jay-Z ass was in therapy, I can tell you that. I bet you she didn't probably, and I bet you the conversations that she has had with her mother about her mother's mother have all led her to a place to have that specific conversation. And I just don't often hear that being reflected in the conversations about generational curses that I've heard. So I know this was kind of a heavier topic. I obviously want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what that word means to you, what that terminology means to you. I mean, you don't have to get in the comments and tell all your business about, what you think your, generational trauma is or any of that. But, I'm just curious if I'm the only person who thinks that this word has kind of been overused and is kind of oversimplified. Let me know down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. These motherfuckers will not stop popping these fireworks. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and as always, thank you so much for watching.